Golfers, welcome back to another episode of the Zero Spin Axis Golf Swing. Today I want to go over more of the path and what happens, what that path looks like and how you can practice this at home even if you don't have a Foresight launch monitor. Now again, launch monitor is the best way to go to measure it, but if you don't have it, I'm going to show you how you can kind of set up a practice station for you to define that feel of what is plus minus 3 degrees. Now, when we look at it, 3 degrees is really, really small. If you think about it, we had to set our clocks back last night, and 1 minute is equal to 6 degrees on a clock. So when we look at this, 3 degrees is really, really small. I got this station set up. I have a compass here that gives me my zero line, and this is approximately 3 degrees. It's probably a little bit more, probably closer to that, almost 5 degrees, 6 degrees. But this gives us perspective of how small that in to out path or out to in path needs to be in order to hit the ball straight. Now again, why are we doing this? Ping research is showing that, hey, better players hit the ball straighter, they hit the ball further than they do curving the ball. So we're really working on distance and direction, and there's nothing wrong with hitting the ball farther and straighter. So let's get into it. So we've got the cameras rolling here, and obviously we're talking about club face, and I want to kind of take that part out for a moment and just look at the shaft. So I want to just look at the path. So I want to bring in just the shaft itself. This is just a shaft off of our fitting cart. And so what I want you to think about is when the shaft gets parallel to the ground, that's really our checkpoint, okay? And so is the shaft parallel with our stance, slightly inside, okay? And I can kind of just get myself set up here, and I want to look at, where my hands are, and say, okay, is that parallel, slightly inside? You can see how small of a change that is. Let's bring a club into it and look at the club face. So when I get that shaft parallel to the ground, even with my hands parallel to my target line, there's a couple degrees, there's a couple degrees. So you can see how small of a movement that is right there. Now, how do we know that shaft parallel to the ground is a good checkpoint? Well, that's Dr. Kwan's functional swing plane. And that happens right in this area. Now, it doesn't mean the club always stays on plane, but that's an opportunity for the club to be swung on a plane. So, and you can think of it as a tabletop. If I'm moving this club this way along a tabletop, and I just cut off the legs, drop that down, got into posture. When that club moves, okay, it's the same motion. Now again, we'll talk in another video about whether the club should be here, 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 or here. But right now, we just want to see where that path is, okay? Now I'm using my Humo Go sensor. That will help us also to be able to measure that. So this is a small wearable we're coming out with that will help us know where the club is when the shaft gets parallel to the ground. So this is your first checkpoint. This is really, really simple. There's a lot of preferences. Do you want to have very little wrist hinge, more of a wrist set? It really doesn't matter right now to the golf club ball relationship. It's just when is this parallel to the ground, and then how does this line up? So if we see on a path on the way down, that's big time out to in, big time in to out. So we just want to make sure we really want to work from here to this side of the impact in order to control that path and then get control of the face. Next step, let's take a look at how you hold on to the club and how that affects that delivery of the path and the face into the ball. Depending on the type of grip or the style of grip, and it's not really even so much a style as is an alignment of the grip. And To me, the best way to find your grip in this is just think of this hammering motion. Okay, so you can start out just grabbing this club and getting this type of motion in it. Now we want this motion. And where that feels comfortable is where your hand should look. So take a picture of that. And that feels best for me. If I get too much on top, I rotate the face. And, I always like to start out with this kind of leading edge here forward. Just only because it gets me a very specific point of where that club face is. And so if I go here, now it wants to open up, but I just don't feel comfortable hinging it. If I get too strong, again, it just doesn't feel comfortable. Now you can start seeing I adapt my body to that. So this is a good point of once you kind of get that feel, then you can set up. And what I like to do is bring that club back, just trail arm only, let that just swing. You see there's no body turn. And again, whether I want to put some wrist hinge, little extension, this type of motion, have the club pitch back. I want to make sure my hands are outside my trail foot, but they're more in line with my feet, parallel to the target, and then I put that grip on. So that simple motion of just setting that turn gives me my feel of what that is all about. And so that is the beginning of my takeaway to build up this zero-axis golf swing.
Wait, that's what the ball's doing?
I'm like, oh shit. If I get my right arm structure set early, then all I need to do is turn the top and then it's in a good position.
Right.
Instead of getting straight, arm gets that way and then...
And then I'll go ahead and take my grip. I like to start out with the trail hand first, get that nice and perpendicular to my target line. And then go ahead and work into that. And right now, I just want you to work on, again, not worried about whether you hinge or not. I like to feel a little bit of trail wrist extension. Get that set, and then go through the shot. Okay, golfers, use this stop and go practice station in order to find the feel of your path. And then if we can find it at a slower pace, a half a swing, then we can build it up from there. But that's the reason why the first two videos were very, very much about impact and knowing what the club is doing through impact. Tour players know exactly what they feel with their hands, where the path is. Okay, that's called proprioception. We have to do the same thing. We have to develop those tendencies and that awareness where if we can close our eyes, and that's another good drill, we can close our eyes, shafts parallel to the ground. That's not too shabby. I'd take that any day right there. Okay? So there's another one. Close your eyes to get that feel. Develop your awareness, develop your feel, because our feel's in our hands. These are the most important tools, and it's that how those wrists move that will help us further develop our zero spin axis golf swing. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more videos.